So we'll get going. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this morning. My name is Jhanvi Patel, and I'll actually be taking you through today's training webinar. As you know, this is a three-part series training webinar that we're conducting. We actually did have one session already, which was related to modeling and data preparation. And then today's focus will actually be jumping into the system, into SAP Analytics Cloud, and actually starting to create some of those reporting and dashboards based on that model that we created during the last session. Just a quick house note, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat feature within the GoToMeetings. I will pause before we jump into the demo just to see if there are any questions to address them then, and then again throughout the demo as well. So perfect. So as mentioned, my name is Jhanvi Patel. I'm a Principal Solution Advisor here at SimpleFi. I've been working with SAP Solutions for over 16 years, and I started off actually on the consulting side and then worked my way through the consulting practice and then over onto the other side of the fence into the sales side and onto the pre-sales side. I'm super grateful that you've taken the time this morning to join the webinar, where I will be kind of introducing you to how you can build out reports, dashboards, and stories within SAP Analytics Cloud. So I did mention this just a minute ago, but today's webinar is again the second of the three-part series where I'll be presenting an overview and taking you through some of the basics of model creation and then story build within SAP Analytics Cloud. So yes, as mentioned, we did have our first session which focused on that data preparation and model build. And then today we're actually going to leverage that model to actually go ahead and now create and build out stories using the optimized design experience. And actually the next session that we'll be having out in the future in June, we'll actually continue to do that story dashboard build where we'll actually be going into how to create calculation, which include data actions, setting up allocations, and then looking at, the value driver tree as a feature within the tool as well. So just to quickly go over today's agenda. So I'll actually start off with giving you a quick introduction to who SimpleFi Solutions are, and then we'll actually jump in just into a few slides about stories. Before then, I'll jump into the system and then we'll do a demo as well. All right, perfect. So to kick it off, so who is SimpleFi? So at SimpleFi, we are actually a firm of financial and analytic experts focused on things like process design, business content, and also automation, and of course, implementation of SAP planning and analytics and consolidation solutions. So we are an award-winning go-to SAP partner for planning, and our goal is to be 100% referenceable as well. So as a boutique company, we want to ensure our customers are satisfied and successful when it comes to those implementations, and this allows us to help build those relationships so that we can strive to become trusted advisors to each of our customers throughout either the implementation process, and then helping to drive adoption and delivering solutions that drive value, again, are easy to use, and again, driving that adoption across your organization as well. So our team is actually based in Canada and the US, and we do have offices in Chicago and Montreal. And then when it comes to our customer base, it actually spans across a number of major industries and locations as well. So SimpleFi business services include things like business content deployment, process design, and QA. And then we also have experts available as a service and manage implementations as well. So in addition to SAP Analytics Cloud, our technology focus also includes SAP DataSphere, group reporting, and our team has a really strong experience with BPC, BW, and HANA as well. So our prepackaged solutions are actually branded under our Planify platform and are configured based on leading industry practices as well. So what they do is they actually provide you with a all-in-one solution, which includes things like data models, predefined report books, live financial statements, and then also guided user experience dashboards as well. So essentially, the prepackaged solutions, what they do is they kind of drive value by optimizing and automating back office reporting and business processes. Essentially increasing your visibility into your financials so that you can then build out more accurate forecasts. And then also the solution does allow for planning and then also what if scenario analysis as well. So really giving you all of those features and functions and capabilities all within one tool. So we do understand that processes can differ by industry and companies, and that certain companies may have specific requirements that are very unique to them. But we also know that from our experience of implementing like planning solutions and SAC, that there are several common planning and reporting features used across industries and companies as well. So what we've done as an organization is we've actually invested 10,000 plus hours building out our content based on those leading practices, which you can actually leverage as an you can leverage as an out-of-the-box solution for your organization to adopt, or you can actually use it as a starting point to then build on top of, to make those additional adjustments based on what your requirements are as well. So essentially, instead of you having to build these dashboards and applications from scratch, we provide you with a really good starting point where we have prepackaged solutions that allow you to deploy in weeks, so that you're accelerating project deployment and then seeing that time to value as well. I just wanted to flash up this slide as well, just to kind of highlight, leveraging an FP&A solution built directly on SAP's platform provides businesses of all sizes, with unmatched benefits. SAP Analytics Cloud, with its powerful and scalable infrastructure, enables real-time data integration, advanced analytics, and then seamless connectivity with SAP backend systems and also non-SAP accounting systems. So, this kind of ensures that financial planning and analysis are always based on the most accurate, up-to-date insights, essentially driving smarter decision making and then strategic growth as well. And then essentially with the embedded generative AI and machine learning, the solution also unlocks the full potential of your data, really empowering you with predictive insights and intelligent automation as well, all within the platform and using your data as well. So today, just to recap on the agenda, so we've just gone over the introduction of who SimpleFi Solutions are, and then what the goal is today is to focus on the story creation within SAC. So my goal is to kind of show you how we can build out basic financial reports that include visualizations as well. So before jumping into the system, I wanted to just take a few minutes to go over some of the story fundamentals, essentially, starting with what is a story. So a story within SAP Analytics Cloud takes the form of a presentation-style document, which kind of incorporates charts, visualizations. It can also have textual content, images, and icons really to illustrate your data. They really do allow you to present a full story of your data in one interactive dashboard that can have one or more pages as well. And then essentially, with the integrated AI-driven insights, stories can also then help analyze data and and allow you to make confident decisions faster as well. So when it comes to creating a story, there are a number of ways that this can actually be done. One of which is actually to leverage the self-service story creation tool that facilitates the creation of no-code stories designed with charts, tables, filters, and so much more as well. And we'll actually be walking through that during the demo as well. You do have the ability to extend kind of the basic stories with scripting, but keep in mind that scripting and coding is not required, which kind of takes away the need to reach out to either your IT department or a development team when it comes to creating new or even editing existing reports or dashboards. It really allows the end user or business user to have the ability to do that. So, releasing some of that bottleneck that we've kind of seen with some of our customers that they were facing prior as well. So in addition to using the self-service tool, there are other ways to create stories, and one of which is via the inbuilt generative AI feature, which is called Just Ask. So what Just Ask is actually a natural language query feature, which allows you to ask business-related questions in plain language, and then it kind of sifts through your data, and then it kind of allows you to see instant answers, in the form of visualizations or data insights as well. These can then actually be copied into a report or a dashboard to build out stories that, of course, can then be shared with others across your organization as well. So we'll walk through an example of the Just Ask feature during the demo as well, once we've done the initial creation of our story. Okay, perfect. So with that, let's dive into the system. As mentioned, I'll spend a few minutes just kind of pulling up the model that we created during our last session, and then I'll jump into that story creation as well. And then for today's session, we've actually split the two sessions, this one and the next one. Today we'll cover the initial creation of a story, kind of build out a P&L, which will have things like filters, charts, KPIs, and then we'll also build out that upload widget so that we can actually load off forecast data directly within the story. And then essentially in that next session that we'll be having in June, that's when we'll kind of focus on data actions, calculations, setting up allocations, and then walking through that value driver tree feature as well. I'm just going to take a quick pause here just to check the chat if there's any questions, and switch over my screens as I'm doing that as well. Perfect. Okay, brilliant. As mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat. Okay, now jumping over into the solution now. So hopefully you guys should be seeing my SAC tenant, and we're actually looking at our model. As mentioned, I'm just going to quickly go over this super quick just to kind of give a recap of what we did in our prior session. So we did actually create our new model for what we are going to use for our story creation. We added our additional dimensions, we set up our details and things like that. And then just as a reminder, when it came to the data management, during the last session, we did actually upload our actuals, but so that we could show how we can use the upload widget within a story, we actually didn't upload our forecast, but we've set that up so it's set up as an upload job. So I just wanted to kind of remind the team remind us of that, just because that's something that we will leverage during the story creation as well. So this is the model that we're going to actually use to start creating our story. So I'm going to jump over here into our story creation page. When you do come to this page, and it's from the navigation bar, I'm just hitting stories here and it opens up the creations page. As a user, there are, again, a number of different ways you can initially start creating stories as well. So you can create stories that have pages that are responsive pages. This essentially just means that these pages, when these reports or dashboards are pulled up on different devices, like mobile devices or iPads or ThinkPads or things like that, the screen will actually automatically resize based on the device that they're being viewed from. So we can start building out dashboards and things like that using the responsive story type, or we can actually create the canvas type as well. And it's not that within the canvas that won't be able to be done either. It can be done in both. It's just that you have the ability to kind of choose off the bat here. One of the things that you can also do as an organization is you can actually build in a template, and this template can have things like your company logo, a banner, specific styling requirements that then your business users can use as their starting point as well. So one of the first things I'm going to do is just quickly, I'm going to jump in here into a canvas story type. I'm just going to walk through a little bit of the navigation that we have on the screen here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a template that then we'll leverage to kind of create our P&L and then continue on building from there. So when we're looking at our canvas, as it's opening up, it's a blank canvas that we've used that we can leverage to actually now start building out reports and dashboards and things like that. So what I wanted to highlight is on the right-hand side here, this is your build, oh, it's on the styler, but this is your builder panel. So when I actually add some data in here, we'll see some more information, but I did want to just point out on the right hand side, this is our builder and styler panel. So the builder panel is essentially like a pivot table, and you'll see that in just a moment. When as I mentioned, when I add the data, we'll be able, this is where we'll make the changes to our columns, to our rows, we'll add dimensions, we can add filters, things like that. This is where also we will do some of the styling and formatting of our tables and graphs and what we put into our Canvas story as well. And then here on the left hand side, this is actually where we have all of our assets and widgets that we can actually drag and drop into our Canvas in order to start building out our story here. So as I mentioned, what I wanted to first do is actually, I'm just going to create a template just to show you how easy it is to kind of create a template that then the rest of your organization can use going forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to drag and drop image here because I want to be able to add our company logo. So as you see, as the user starts dragging and dropping some of these widgets onto the canvas, it's going to automatically start adding those to the canvas and then prompting you to actually input or populate them accordingly as well. So I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to go ahead into my desktop and grab my company logo and put that in there. I'm just going to resize it just a little bit right now. And then in addition to the logo, I also just want to put a banner in here just to make it kind of the same as all of our other reports. And very easily, I'm able to add some of these images and logos and things like that. I'm just going to collapse some of these. Just so that it's a bit more of a screen that we're working with. I'll go into full view here. And I'm just going to go ahead and just start to kind of resize, reshape, move this around. Very easy to use for the user. That drag and drop feature, we can just move things around and place them accordingly. I'm just going to go ahead and open up my panel. I'm going to go to the style panel while we're looking at this banner. I'm just going to make some adjustments here where I'm going to have it actually cover the whole area just so that we can see it as fully covered. In addition to the logo and the banner, I'm just going to put a divider in as well, just so that it's a bit cleaner as we start to build out. So I just actually drag and dropped a shape in. These are all predetermined shapes that are available that we can add. I'm just going to go for a basic line just to kind of give that divider kind of look, and just drag that and drop that across the top here. And again, just resize it to kind of fit our whole page nice and cleanly. So this is just a real quick way that we can actually set up a quick template so that when others are coming in from the organization and they're actually looking to create reports, they can use this as a starting point as well. So with this, I'm actually just going to go ahead and save this as a template. I'm just going to put this into my folder as well. And essentially what that's going to do, I'll just go back in just a moment just so that we can see it again. I'm going to go back into my stories from my navigation. And what you'll see here now at the bottom, that template that we've just created, this is now available for any users that come in and would like to start creating reports. They can actually start from this point. So I'm going to go ahead and actually select that. And at this point, it's going to have our template already in place for us to start building on top of now as well. Perfect. So now that we've kind of got that template out the way, so what I want to start doing now is actually start to building out the report. So, there is actually a number of ways that we can actually pull in our data. So as mentioned, we've already built our model and set up our data in the previous webinar, but you can actually, there's a number of different ways that you can actually bring in your data into SAC. So as mentioned, we've already got our model, existing model and data set, which is what we're using today, but you can actually upload data from a file as well. So if you had data in an Excel file or any other file format, you can actually upload that into SAC at this point and build stories based on that file as well. Or you can actually connect to a data source as well. So with SAP, this could be a backend system, accounting system that we can connect to. It could be a DataSphere, it could be an S4, any sort of backend system that we have set up the connections for. You can actually then go ahead and pull in data from those data sources to kind of build out these reports and things like that as well. But as mentioned, we're going to use the model that we've already just going to go ahead and select that, and then I'm just going to navigate to my model and select that as well. So this is the one that we created during the last webinar. So now that we've associated our model here, I can actually go ahead and start building out our report. So one of the first things I want to do is I actually want to pull out and put together kind of a P&L. So as you see, now that we've selected our data set, and as I dragged and dropped the table in, it's actually going to automatically start building out our P&L for us based on our data set as well. So, and as mentioned, here on the right hand side, that is that builder panel, which I mentioned, is like that pivot table. This is where we're going to make a lot of the changes to our report as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start making some changes. So in the columns, we have measures here. It's actually looking at local measures. I'm just going to switch this to USD just so that we can get our data in here. We can do some additional visualizations. I'm just going to go ahead and X that out. Right now, we do see our version. In addition to version, I'm actually going to go ahead and add our date dimension as well. So you'll see, all these dimensions that we have here available for us to add, it is based on the model that we've created. And then when we look at the dimensions for the rows and accounts and things like that, it really is based on the data sets that we've put in as well. So going ahead and adding the date, you'll see as I start making changes in the builder panel, it's going to start actually visually changing our table here as well. So now we see date. I'm going to actually drag date above version just so that I can see date first, then version. And within version, we're just looking at actuals, but knowing that I want to pull it in my forecast, we don't have any forecast data at the moment because we're actually going to build that upload program. But just so that we can actually see it on the screen, I'm just going to select show unbooked members, and I'm just going to add forecast here just so that it's there for when we do that upload program and put forecast data in, we'll automatically see it on the screen. So right now we are looking at our net income. I'm actually going to go ahead and make some additional changes to the accounts and then make some, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an account, and right now we're just seeing one part of our account. We're seeing our net income. I'm also going to include our non-financials and our KPIs as well, that we, again, part of the model that we had built previously, that's pulling in that information. And what I can do is if I right click on account, it brings up the ability to kind of drill down to a different level. I'm going to go ahead and just go down to level 3 for right now, just so that we can see a few more of the numbers and then expand out the table accordingly. And of course, as I'm making these changes, it's reflected on the screen. And then what I want to do as well, I'm going to go ahead and you can select the date bar, and we can actually see that we have all of our dates in here as well. So again, I'm going to filter by 2025 just so that we can limit some of the data and some of the information that we're seeing here. Perfect. So right now we've been within a few clicks using the designer panel. We've been able to build out our P&L. We have our actuals and we have our 2025 actuals, I should say. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some styling changes just so that we can see a little bit more on the screen. So again, within the styling panel, there's a lot of different things that you can do in order to make the table a little bit more to personalize the table accordingly. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change when it comes up the template of the table. So right now it's kind of in a default style. I'm going to go ahead and change it into a reporting style. So these are templates that are already available. So this is going to kind of change the look and feel automatically. So very easy for the user just to come in here, build out a report, and then have it in a consistent format as well. And then what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to actually change the row height to a super condensed just so that we can see a little bit more on the screen. And again, this is where we can make changes to the values, the text, the color, all sorts of things, the width, if we wanted to put in some background colors or images, we can do all of that here as well. So that's just putting together a really quick table to kind of start off with building out our P&L. One of the other things that I'm going to do before we load in our forecast data, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to create a calculation that we're going to use for a graph as well. So I'm going to drag and drop a chart in here. Again, very easy to use. I can drag and drop it anywhere on the screen, and it will start building out start giving me the builder panel to start build out some of the content that we want here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and select the account. And here it has a search filter. So, there is a hierarchical view of all of our accounts, but there's also a really quick way to find an account if that's what you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and look for my gross margin, just so that I can build out a chart for our gross margin here, just to show some visualizations. And again, the measure, I'm just going to go ahead and select USD. And as I'm making those changes, sorry about that, I thought I checked that. Yes, as I'm making those changes, it's actually reflected in that graph that we see on the screen as well. So right now this is looking at our gross margin at that very high level, and we can actually go down granular into this as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go into our graph here, and I can use the drill down, drill up functionality to take it down to that second level. So now we can see total sales and cost of goods sold as well. So really easy to kind of use and navigate and get that information used across both areas here as well. So that's just a quick way of getting the graph put in. In addition to this graph, we can put in some additional information. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in, I'm going to add a calculation, and this calculation we're just going to call it count for right now, and we're going to use it as an, oh, that's not the calculation I wanted, sorry, one moment. I'm going to go and put it into the chart, and that will make it a little bit easier for me to find it after the fact. Go ahead and do aggregation. Perfect. I'm just going to call this count. And then what we're going to use this is, we're going to use this as an account, not count dimension. And we're going to be looking at our gross margin. And we're going to change it to product. Okay, I'll just save that. And then we can just add this to our chart here. And we'll change that to a line graph as well so that we can see this. Oh, there's the dimension. So one of the things I do want to point out as well, all the different types of charts and visualizations that you can actually create. So we did have it as a bar chart, but you also have like a numeric point, you have a combination stack. There's a lot of chart properties and features that you can actually use out of the box. And if there is a specific chart that's not available, the system does actually allow you to upload other types of charts as well. So very flexible when it comes to using the tool and adding your data and things like that as well. So now that we do have that bar graph in, I'm just going to move that to the side, or just put it as vertical. Yeah, perfect. Just to show what I wanted to essentially just show how quick it was and easy to kind of create a graphical view. And then what I want to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and create that upload widget so that we can actually go ahead and upload our forecast so that we can then start adding some variants and making some additional changes. As I'm doing that, actually, before we should do that, I should put in some input controls. So with the information that we have on the screen right now, we can actually go ahead and drag and drop some input controls. And what I'll do is I'll add these to kind of help kind of be able to filter our report out accordingly. So one of the dimensions and input controls that I want to put is by organization. And what this will do is this will allow us to kind of filter by our organization. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all. So as a user, I can come in here and I can make changes to the filter, and then accordingly the data on the screen will change as well. So I'm just going to increase that a little bit just so that we can see that as a full drop down. And then in addition to the organization, I'm also just going to put in a product filter as well. And this is so that we can kind of leverage these a little bit later on in the demo as well, as we build out other screens and when we go into that second part later on as well. I'm just going to, again, select all, so we have all of that information available to us. And then just, again, resize it accordingly just so that we can see the information. Perfect. Okay, now having some of those input controls in place, what I'm going to go ahead and do is this is where we'll actually create that. We'll go ahead and create the upload program now as well. So let me just move this across here. And what we're going to do is that upload program will actually allow us to go ahead and then put in our forecast data, as I mentioned, so that we can do some additional variances as well. I'm just adding a filter so that we're looking at our 2025 data. And again, this is all can be changed accordingly based on, the user as they want to maintain, and as they're in the story, we can make the changes accordingly as well. So just opening up our widget again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a input file. So what that's going to entail is we're going to go ahead and create an upload data upload starter. So if we see in the drop downs and the available widgets, we do have our starter section and we have our data upload starter. I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop that towards the bottom here. And then open up the panel. What that's going to do is that's actually going to ask us some additional information here. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the model so we know that it's our training model that we're using. And then in our previous session, we did create that upload job. So I'm going to go ahead and select that as well at this point. Perfect. And then I'm going to put a description in where we can actually put in the upload program. Upload forecast data. And I'll just copy and paste that into the label as well, just so that it's a little consistent then. Okay, perfect. So now that we have our upload action set up, we can actually go ahead and save this. And then I'm actually going to switch over into view mode, and then we're going to actually upload some of our forecast data as well so that we can make some additional changes into our P&L. So I'm going to go ahead and just go up here and select save. P&L. I'm just going to save this into my folder. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to execute the data action. And this is exactly how the end user will run this as well. You know what, let me go into the view mode just so that you can see it in the perspective of a business end user. So as that's opening up, so what we can do is we can actually select that data action, and then it's going to prompt us to actually pick our file where we have our forecast. So I'll go ahead and choose our file that we have all of our forecast data in, and then we'll run the data action for it to then upload into our table and into our model as well. So again, just by selecting the data action there, and then it's asking us to select our source file. And we do need to change that version that we saw there as well, because we are uploading our forecast, not our actuals. So I'll go ahead and change that. So in the version, we want to make sure that we're selecting the right version as well. So go ahead and put forecast there. And then I'm going to hit run. So essentially what this is doing is this is now adding our forecast data into the system for us that we can then continue on to kind of build out some of this reports on as well. And what we'll do is we'll actually put in some variants, and then we'll actually just move on to creating that rolling forecast view. And then from there, I do want to spend just a little bit of time on that just ask capability. So we'll kind of switch over to the just ask piece, where then we can see how stories can be created directly from the generative AI piece as well. So as mentioned, now that we have our data loaded, it's actually indicating now that we have our forecast in place. And throughout the demo and throughout SAC, as changes are being made to data and cells, you'll actually see that the background of those cells changes. So that's kind of a visual indication that there's been a data change or a change been made essentially there. I'm just going to go ahead and expand that out so we can see by our quarters, and we can see now our actuals and forecast. I'm going to go back into our edit mode. So as a user, when I'm in edit mode, that's when I can make some of the changes that I have on the screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and refresh just because we have our forecast in here now. And again, what I want to do now is I'm actually going to show you how it's very easy, similar to those who are used to using Excel. If we wanted to go ahead and now add a variance, it's very easy for the user to kind of do that. This is one form of calculation that can be done. So we can come into the cell and we can actually add a repeating column. And very easy, just like you would have done in Excel, we can put the equals, and then we can select actuals minus forecast. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to give us our variance as well in that whole dollar amount. So, very easy to kind of build in those types of calculations directly within the tables. And these are calculations that the end user is putting in. But as you saw during the model build, we did actually put some calculations directly in the model as well, which are then available for the users to kind of use as well as they're building out these stories. So perfect. So that's kind of us building out a quick P&L. We've got a graph in there. We've put in some of our filters. We were able to put our variance in. Another form of calculations that we did, similar to the count one, I can put another calculation in here. And we can do a calculation for our operating income percentage. Just put that in there as well. And with the wizard formula, as I start typing, based on the dimensions and the data that I have in my model, it will actually automatically prompt me as I start making some of the selections and typing. So if I'm looking for my operating income percentage, if I start to put in operating income, it's going to give the values in the drop down, and then I can do that as divided by our total sales. And then just hit OK here. Again, this is another way that we can do the calculation. So previously you saw how we did the in-cell calculation, but then we can actually use the calculation engine within the tool to have that in here as well. So now at the bottom, we're able to see our operating income percentage here as well. So a really quick way of adding some calculations into our table. And then also into our reporting graph here as well. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and change this story page to P&L. Perfect. And then in addition to that, what I'm going to do is, because I want to show how we can quickly make a rolling forecast. One of the great things is we can actually go ahead and duplicate this page. There's no point in having to redo everything from scratch. Being able to copy pages and then just make specific tweaks here and there to get a different type of report is a great way that the tool is very adaptive and user-friendly as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and just change this to forecast just so that I know which tab is which. And changing our P&L now to essentially show us a rolling forecast. If I go ahead and select my table, again, opening up the builder panel, and I'm the reason every time I'm having to open and close the panels, I'm just doing that so that, because my screen's kind of small, just to show so you can see everything on the screen. But of course, as a user, these panels will stay up. So it's not that the user would have to click it all the time on and off, but they do have the ability to do that. So just looking in our table structure, right now we're looking at a cross tab. What the system allows you to do is it will actually automatically convert our table into a forecast table. At this point, we can hit OK because we know that it's going to make essential changes to our table. And what it's going to do is this is where we can make some additional adjustments. So we can make adjustments to the cutover period if you needed it at a specific date. It could be today's date, or it could be the last booked actuals, which is what I'm going to go ahead and select. And then you can actually set the number of the range of year back and looking forward as well. So right now we have a range of a year. If we wanted to look back by a couple of months, I can go ahead and select months, And then, you know, if I just put maybe 6 months in there, and then if we wanted to look forward by a year, we can put 1 year in there as well. And then as I hit apply, this is actually now going to build that out based on the information that we selected. So what we should see is we should see our, and in this example, we don't need the variant. So again, you know, easy to copy over the table and then make those adjustments. But what we can see here now is we have our rolling forecast. So we have our actuals for Q1 all in there, and then we have our forecast for Q2 going forward for the month of April. So again, you know, very quickly we're able to turn that P&L that was just for our looking at more of a rolling forecast view here as well. So that kind of gives us a good idea of how we can what we've done is we've quickly created a story which has a P&L, and then we have a rolling forecast available as well for us to kind of do planning against, make adjustments. At this point, you know, we do want to go into calculations, allocations, and that value driver tree during the next session. And with the time that we have, I do want to spend a little bit of time on that just ask. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And this is where we'll kind of pick up next time when we come back into the story creation in that next session, where we'll continue on to do some check some of those other feature functions. But what I want to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and just open up the just ask feature within the tool, and that's actually just up here within the icon. This is the easiest ways to get to it. So just by selecting this is actually bringing up the Gen AI just ask automation here. And what we can do, as I mentioned, in natural language, to have the system check our data and then bring back some visualizations for us. One of the first things I want to do is, just because I want to continue to use the model that we're working with, I'm going to go ahead and just select that model. Again, this is just a step just because I want to make sure that the stories are all in sync and that we are using our data that we've been working with in this webinar as well. So now that I've selected that model, I can actually go ahead and start typing. So I can put show me, in this example, 2020, let's do 2024 because I know we've got quite a bit of data. Product sales by month in USD. So with that natural language, you know, the system now is going back and checking all of our data within our model, and then it should come up with visualizations on how to represent our data. So this just gives us a quick view. So this is giving us our products for the year 2024. We can see it by month, and we can see our sales here as well. So again, you know, from here, I can actually do some additional changes. You know, if I wanted to see it in more of a visualization, I can select the graph here, and what that's going to do, the chart icon, sorry, that's actually the system's going to check our data and automatically display a chart that best represents the data. But of course, you can change the chart accordingly of how you want to see it, if we wanted to see it as a bar graph or anything like that as well. And then essentially this chart, it is actually available for us to kind of change, essentially do some additional filters with, and then actually copy over into our existing story. So I've just hit copy there, and I'm just going to go back into our story, and I can do that by just exiting the just ask here, and I'm just going to go ahead and create another tab just so that we can paste it into here. So what we can do is then paste that chart into here. So again, you know, very easily, oh, this is coming up. Okay, let me just uncheck that. So because we use 2024 data. So very easily, like having asked that through the generative AI just ask, we were able to quickly pull up a graph and visualization of our data and then add that to a story. Again, you know, this can then be shared across the organization as well. And that was just kind of one quick example, but another one as well, just to kind of show you the different variations that we can see. So we were looking at products then. So if I go ahead and do show me gross margin by product as a bar chart. Again, you know, if you tell just ask how you want to visualize your data. It will automatically set it up and display it based on what we've input as well. So this is kind of showing our gross margin by product again, and it's giving us our visualization as a bar chart as we asked for. And then we can continue on to build on top of this and ask additional requests for it. So right now, maybe we do a drill on product level 3. So give us a bit of a drill down on our product, right? So we can see more of that. Again, very easy enough to kind of using that natural language, get the information that we need and bringing us the results that we need. Again, we asked for it in a bar chart, so that's what it's given it to us in. But if we perfect. And then in addition to that, that was the just ask feature. So I wanted to make sure that we saw that capability within the system and being able to add that again into our stories and see that, see our data and show the different ways that we can actually create and initiate these stories using our data as well. So I'm going to take a quick pause just for a second and then actually just check the chat to see if there's any questions. So just give me a moment while I just navigate over here. Okay, perfect. Doesn't look to be any questions at this time. So yeah, as mentioned, this is what I wanted to kind of highlight today, is just to kind of show how we can get started with that story creation. So what we did, just to give you a quick overview again of what we kind of did, is we did create our P&L using the data model that we had already had set up in the system. And then we've got, we put in we used the upload program to put in our forecast. We put in some filters. We've created the visualizations with regards to the bar graph. And then we also leveraged the just ask feature to add additional charts and visualizations to our story. So that's kind of what we wanted to kind of cover today. I'll jump back to the presentation just to kind of give a quick overview, and then we can figure out next steps. And again, I'll just double check that there are no more questions in the chat as well. So perfect. So just going over here. Brilliant. So as mentioned, we've covered the items that we wanted to for today with regards to the initial setup of the story. What we will do in our next session, which is actually scheduled for June 12th, during that session, we'll actually go back into these stories that we've just created. And what we'll do is we'll actually additional calculations, and we'll create some additional data actions. And then we'll actually set up some allocations. And then again, we'll build out a value driver tree as well using the model that we have, so that then we can really have a really good story telling us a story built out with our P&L. We can see how the organization is doing. We can run some allocations, and then we can do some scenario planning using that value driver tree as well. So that's kind of where we'll go in our next session as well. So with that, just checking the chat, we don't seem to have any questions there. So to that, I can actually give you back some time here. I wanted just to say thank you so much for joining today's session and taking the time to kind of be on today. As mentioned, we do have that upcoming session, the next session coming June 12th. Please do remember to sign up for that one. And then with that being said, I just want to again say thank you so much for your time today. If you do have any questions outside of this and you would like to reach out, please feel free to reach out to me via email, LinkedIn, anything like that. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. The recording for this session will be up on our OnDemand channel, and you'll actually receive a notification of when it's up from Corinne our team as well. So with that being said, again, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.